Because myself 14 years ago, I'd gotten here and I just feel like God had ordained my coming here and I'd put everything into perspective like that. But I wouldn't say that I would tell myself to change anything because I know every step was ordained by God. But what I would definitely say would be, I would rather say to myself when I was younger, when I was in university, I would say to myself in university to have grown more before I got married. That's the only one thing I would say to my younger self. We're quite comfortable in Nigeria. Life in Nigeria was good. It was actually fun. I mean, I was born there, so I grew up with the whole culture. I knew nothing else that was different. So I would say life in Nigeria was actually good because I was born into a middle class family. We didn't really lack anything. Got all the education I needed. But in terms of development in the country, where they're taking care of the country, they are not particularly doing all of those things, or they're behind. So we actually applied for the permanent residency at that time, just before we got married, which was in 2001. And then unfortunately, 9/11 happened. So that was when we opted for him to go to Ireland to further his studies. And so after we'd been in Ireland for a while, then Canada contacted us and said, "Are you still interested?" We just thought, why not? So we headed, down here to Canada. I initially said, "Oh no, I don't want to go to Canada." I was like, "Oh no, Canada is too cold." All of a sudden, I just felt like Canada is too cold. I don't want to come to Canada. And then my husband was like, "No, but people are there. What do you mean it's too cold?" Then I started to think about it. Maybe it's not too cold. Then I went back to my husband saying, "Oh yeah, I think Canada won't be too bad, And then he was like, "I think you were right. Canada will be too cold." And they were like, "Oh my gosh, what's going on here?" But we're excited and looking forward to, the opportunities that Canada had in store for us. But unfortunately, when we got here, the reality of being an immigrant kind of set in. And so a lot of things changed. The course of me wanting to build my profession changed. And so yeah, I kind of became disappointed in terms of not being able to pursue my career. Then I realized that God actually had other plans for me, which was geared towards social services. Maybe God wants to use me to do something where I start from here and probably take something back to Nigeria and even Africa. I'm starting with cooking because that's what comes easy to me. I like to cook. And I'm very proud of Nigerian food. So I feel like this would be a big opportunity to share Nigerian food and Nigerian culture as I, help people who are in need. This is where God has brought me, to be able to do that, so that I can build a non-profit organization that God's wanting to use me to build. There used to be a time where I had to go to the food bank. That's one of the reasons why God allowed me to go through that process, actually. Because of the time in Canada, I had to go to the food bank, there was no food, and I was thoroughly blessed by the food bank. And so that really stuck with me, and I feel like right now is like my own turn to give back. But one thing that would never make me regret coming to Canada is that I know God brought me here for a purpose. And that purpose is going to come to fruition pretty soon. So there's nothing to regret. I'm here on a mission.